And we're live, Corky.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to this Tuesday, October 17th public board meeting. I'd like to acknowledge that the Abbotsford School District is located on the land that we live, work, and play in, along with the Stolo peoples, the Sumac First Nation, and the Mathwee First Nation. And at this time, we will play our national anthem, O Canada, and just please join in and listen. Well, we sure live in a beautiful country, and as you can see from the scenery, at this time, I'd just like to think about some of the people in Israel and Palestine, some of the families that are being deeply affected by that war there. Our prayers are with all the families and children and people involved in that. I'd like the adoption of the agenda 4.0 at this time.
Move to approve, Peterson.
Peterson.
Second.
Okay. Kandarajwan. And let's go to our voting buttons. Then we go to 6.0. I think Shirley, I think you can vote for her. Ray? Okay.
I was in favor.
Thank you. 6.0 consent items.
So moved.
No, approval of minutes would be first. Minutes of the public board meeting, October 10th.
So moved.
That's Preet Rai.
Right.
I'll second.
Seconder, sorry.
Seconder Roach.
Okay, thank you. And then we go to, after this, we go to 6.0 consent items. Shirley, what was your vote on that?
I see a yes.
Okay, that's a yes.
Peterson moved to approve consent.
Okay.
Second, Roy.
Second, Ryan, that is for September 26th and October 3rd meetings, the minutes of the meetings.
I thought we were at consent items, my mistake.
Yeah, you said that.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you did. We need 2 more votes there. And then, oh boy, just hang on a second. I went too far. We have a busy month. Thursday, October 5th is World Teachers Day. We'd like to thank all the teachers that work so hard in not just our district, but I guess across the province and across Canada for the work they did do in the classrooms. Monday, October 9th was Thanksgiving, and I'm sure everybody had a good time. And then Wednesday, October 11th was International Day of the Girl Child. coming up, no, I guess Wednesday, October 18th was Persons Day, 1929. Canada recognized women to be able to hold political office. That was in 1929. And then Tuesday, October 31st is Halloween. The kids are about the only ones that look forward to that. The dentist does too, I guess. And then that gets us to reports on achievement. 8.0A is education. 8.1 facilities and transportation department strategic plan. And our superintendent would be, I guess, Sean Nozak.
Thank you, Chair Neufeld. Yes, it's my pleasure this evening to have our directors of facilities with us, Dale Churchill and Greg Forbes King. And they're here tonight to provide a progress report to the board, highlighting the achievements related to how the facilities department worked to improve the condition and performance of district facilities. So over to you, Dale.
Thanks. Both me and Greg are going to team up tonight on this report. I'm going to start off, and Greg will come in a little bit later on areas of need and future plans. And so I'll just start it off.
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome Greg. Welcome to our team. Appreciate you having you. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Board Chair Neufeld.
Go ahead anytime, Dale.
Okay. As you can just read, there's a couple screens here. Not much to say except read. We're focusing under optimize resources, of course. And so we look back, and really our first goal was we continue to look at trying to reduce the FCI. And the FCI, that's a ministry program, facility condition index. And every 5 years, the ratings change. They send out 4 engineers and they go through all our buildings and whatnot. From the figures and everything we have and the money we put into these buildings, we can pretty well do the kitchen math on how much they're improving. And so we continue to put in well over $2 million every year into these 15 buildings here. Some of the benefits, what we're seeing is we've done a fair amount of mechanical upgrades, and we're starting to see that reduce our service calls, which reduces our work orders as well. Yeah. And so between Abbey Traditional, now probably coming off the list for sure with the amount of work done, and last year is SMAF, all the repairs from the flood, we're going to see our next schools coming on, and I think Rick Hansen's the next one you may see next year there. So we continue to invest a fair amount of money, and we continue to see some pretty good success in it. Now, when we get into our work orders, you know, we always want a system that's useful. We just have spent a lot of time cleaning it up, making sure, you know, it's not garbage in, garbage out. It's a proper system for schools to communicate work to us. We focus on proper training at the school level, communication with our guys in person on the work orders themselves, reduce all the duplication. A major push on mechanical upgrades are really helping us. And so we continue to bring it down. We think we're starting to kind of flatline. We still hope to see improvements, but we've went from drastic improvements down to just a little bit of an improvement there. And so we're pretty happy with that number, and we'll continue to bang away at reducing this. So the key projects bringing down a lot of the stuff besides ATS is, you know, we're prepping for all the additions, the 2 additions at Augustin and Stennerson. We did a major roofing at Chief Dan George this year, and lots of boiler upgrades at McClure, Hanson, Mountain, Stennerson, Fox, new elevator at Fraser and at Margaret Stennerson, building envelopes at Blue Jay and Candle, and new gym at Ross. We ripped out the lino floor and put in a plastic. new bleachers up to code now at Hanson. When we talk of successes, the strategy we've been putting the last few years into Ronnie's area on getting enough people on the spare board on busing has seemed to work out well this year. We have a healthy spare board, so we're pretty happy about that. So we're looking at hopefully never canceling a route. We had a tragic event happen in January this year, and we've really gone full time on enhanced safety procedures and training. Successes in continual removing work orders issued and the FCIs, it's coming down. And the big success, we've hired Greg to replace me. So we're pretty happy about that. Now Greg's going to take over from here.
Thank you, Dale. Good evening, Board Chair Neufeld, Board Vice Chair Roush, Board members, Superintendent Nosek, Deputy Superintendent Ying, Secretary Treasurer Valestuk. Before I get started, I would just like to say I'm very excited to have joined the Abbotsford School District and really to thank you all for the opportunity. So, right, the business. Emerging areas of need. So I've rolled up my sleeves and we're looking into a number of areas. First on the slide is the white fleet. The white fleet is aging. We have a considerable number of vehicles over 10 years old. So what we're looking into is finding that sweet spot between increasing costs of maintenance of vehicles and labor resources applied versus when is the appropriate time to cycle through our white fleet. So that's a work in progress. We're just rolling up our sleeves now, and we'll keep everybody posted as we come to the conclusion on how best to approach this while mitigating the obvious costs associated with vehicle replacements writ large. On to the support staff on the union side. So obviously, trades qualified people are very difficult to attract and retain in a competitive construction marketplace like the Lower Mainland. So we are looking at different ways to approach this challenge. That goes for exempt staff as well. So that's very much a work in progress as well. We have a number of vacancies. We have an aging workforce. Very much similar in all different sectors, not just K-12. So that is also a work in progress. And again, we'll keep everybody updated as we draw some conclusions and work out some maybe innovative solutions to address that growing need. On the exempt side of the equation, it's even further complicated in a very competitive marketplace, not just K-12, but outside in all sectors. And attracting operations professionals at the best of times is challenging. So we are going through a evaluation and review process right now, looking at how best to address that sort of growing need with an eye to the future, with an eye to succession planning, and with an eye to broadening, for example, salary ranges to be competitive now and into the future. We're also looking at a reorg of the facilities department group on the management side to see if we can move some roles and responsibilities around to better suit our operational needs and align ourselves better with the district as a whole in addressing, the buildings, the sites, safe, clean, and functional. On to utilities. So utilities consumption and costs have been trending upwards. Obviously, with COVID, that was a significant spike during that time frame. But in general, we're seeing a trend upwards. And there's two sort of main areas. One is the operational side, how the buildings are set up, how they run, when they run. And then the other side is on the behavior side, which I think we need to sort of revisit the energy conservation program, big picture, and chart a course for both sides, improve upon how we operate and run the buildings from a continuous optimization point of view. And on the behavior side, I think there's room to re-engage and educate so we can reduce energy consumption by the occupants and so forth. So that is emerging areas of need. So on to future plans. So again, very challenging to put the right people in the right chairs, professional, operational people with experience. K-12 sector is very competitive. We're looking into that and working with the Ray, our Secretary Treasurer. I want to provide some information and a package for Ray to review to see if we can move it up to BCPC and be able to set the foundation for the future, longer term view, to be able to align the facilities group and ensure that the schools and the sites are operating as intended, are a very best-in-class place to deliver the vision, education for our students, and overall work on reducing all the deferred maintenance, which Dale referred to in his FCI slide, which is basically the relationship of the current value of deferred maintenance over the replacement value of the asset. So I think there's the opportunity to grow and evolve with the district and align ourselves closely with the strategic plan and the vision and mission by building our capacity and attracting and retaining the right people to be able to support the district. And then we move on to interdepartmental relations. We are working on building further the good relationships we have with the various business support departments. And also I want to mention that we're going to be continuing to reach out to the teach side, the site administrators on a regular basis to get more feedback. I think that's a very positive approach, and take that feedback and adjust as we can, as appropriate. The operational side, I think communication is key. We have some interesting ideas I think will float out with our upcoming winter and our snow plan, our winter plan. I already spoke to the White Fleet replacement plan, work in progress. And I spoke to behavior side of energy. And of course, there's the ongoing review, how to better student transportation portfolio, our services that we provide, and rolling back into the energy program writ large, transition to electric ? So yes, there's lots on the go right now. It's very exciting, all sorts of potential to really move forward into the next level, best in class, tracking the Abbotsford School District as it were. So that's, I think, all I have to say there. We're, of course, have our strategic plan implementation. Optimize resources is one of our points on the compass, and we're very excited to be engaging all these topics, and I'm confident that we will find solutions that do optimize resources and mitigate additional expenses as best one can under the circumstances. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Dale and Craig. And so just wanted to open it up to the board. If anybody has any questions, maybe they can, let me just get my, there we go. So any comments or questions? Yeah, I've got Mike there. Go ahead, Mike. Trustee Rauch. You're on mute, buddy.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
You're welcome.
Or Greg, I just wanted to say a big welcome. I remember when we met in the summer, so welcome aboard. It's a well-run department. I know Dale's done a great job there, so it's great to have you aboard. I just did a very quick calculation, and I think it's always good to sort of granularize some numbers. So these 8,000 work orders, which are way down, if we divide that by 52 weeks, assuming that we're working on buildings right through the summer and even at Christmas holidays, I'm sure, that works out to 153 work orders a week. So I think when you kind of look at it that way, you can kind of really see the activity that all goes on inside our 46 schools. So thank you for all that hard work. That's all I had to comment on.
Thanks.
Well, I just want to say okay, go ahead, Stan. Go ahead. Trustee Peterson.
Thank you. I just want to comment that I really appreciate the work you did in hiring bus drivers. We last year in particular, we heard a lot of parents that were frustrated with canceled routes and so on. And of course, a lot of that was beyond your control, but the fact that you've been able to fill that void is huge. I really think our board really appreciates that. Welcome aboard, Greg. You're joining a great team, and I'm sure you found that out already. Going to be a hard act to follow with Dale, but I know you've got a team around you that'll do a great job. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, Dale Churchill, we went to ATS opening and took a look around that building and, heard the stories firsthand from staff and from the management team and from the construction crew of what actually had to take place in order for school to function while we're doing this massive. It's actually a new build more than it is. It's quite extensive. And so I just want to say congratulations to you. I want to say congratulations to the two different companies that you worked with, the management company and the construction company, and also the school administrators and teachers and students. They had to go through a lot in that period of time, but I think all of you coordinating it together, I didn't really hear too many complaints now that we're out the other end. It looks so beautiful. It's a great job. So thank you for your work in there and just coordinating that with the right people. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.
Anything else? That was for an information item. So if that is all, let's move on to 8.2. Finance Department Strategic Plan Report.
Very good, thank you. And again, it's so wonderful to have outstanding leadership in our district. So, not only great thanks to Greg and Dale, but I'm very pleased to introduce Monica Schulte, our Assistant Secretary Treasurer, who's going to provide a progress report to the board this evening, highlighting achievements related to how the Finance Department worked to optimize resources across the district. Over to you, Monica.
Thank you very much and good evening. I'd like to start off by thanking the board for the opportunity tonight to be able to present to you and let you know some of the things that we are thinking about and doing in the Finance Department. So on the first slide, we talk a little bit about the team. Our Finance Department is made up of about 20 members in 4 departments who oversee all of the things that are listed there below, and we see them in sections. So we have a budgeting, a financial accounting, and a procurement section that oversees the reporting and the processes and everything and the accountability for our $260 million total budget, which is the total amount of the budget bylaw. So we have managers in there as well as we have support staff. We also do the banking and investing for any surplus money. If I don't know if you'll remember from the financial statements, but at the end of the year, we had $44 million in cash in the bank. So we are always looking at that and making sure that we're able to invest as much as we can, but still having enough on hand to be able to do our payrolls as well as our accounts payable. So our payroll department, and that's done by a number of people. But we do have another department called payroll, and that department is made up of a manager and 6 support staff, and they pay about 2,500 employees every 2 weeks. So it's a very small little department, but they're mighty. They get a lot done. We're also responsible in the finance department for enrollment projections and demographic planning, as well as keeping the student records available, which we have to do for 55 years for every student. And that's for 20,000 students per year. We also oversee risk management or make sure that the processes around risk management are maintained. And that is for the 52 sites that we have. So risk management is our involvement with the BC Schools Protection Program. As you know, of course, school districts are self-insured. So we make sure that anything that needs claiming is being claimed and that those claims are finalized. So in our department, the strategic plan pillar that we are connected to is, of course, the same as the facilities and transportation, the optimized resource pillar. On the next slide, the little star comes up there for optimized resources. So looking back on how we optimized resources in the 22-23 school year, two of the objectives on the next slide, or coming up here in the next two slides, were implemented before I started. So I've been in the district for a year now. So these variances were in place before me, but one of them is the reduction of school budget variances. And what that means is, are the schools spending the budget allocations that we're giving them? And when we look back to 2019-20, you can see that they were carrying forward from year to year about 22%. So that's a significant amount. So almost a quarter of what they were being given, they were keeping. So there was an objective made to reduce that variance. So in 2021, we went to 19, 21-22 down to 11. And now in this last year, 22-23, we're down to about 10%. And in my opinion, 10% is exactly where we want to be. You want to be able to allow schools to carry some things forward for planning purposes. Sometimes they need to spend money over the summer and they're not collecting money until the fall. So they do have to carry something of a balance forward. So 10% is a reasonable amount. So the second objective on the next slide that we have been looking at is increasing the awareness and engagement opportunities in the annual budget process. So again, on the slide on the right, you can see the participation and awareness has increased significantly. Participation, not so much in 2023. It went down from 2022, but they're both definitely up from the 2021 year. So we're pretty proud about that. And in my experience, getting involvement from the public on the annual budget is sometimes challenging. Especially when things are going well. So if there isn't full engagement, we do need to ask why. But it could be that the public is thinking that, in their opinion, things are going fine. So we're going to continue to look at this going forward. So some of the key projects listed here on this next slide. So 3 headings of projects. The first heading is the streamlining of processes. So having been here for a year now and observed, and having been in other districts before here, I have an awareness and an understanding of how we can make life simpler for people. Not necessarily easier. We still have to do the work. The work needs to get done. We still need to make sure that we're fulfilling all of our duties, but we want to be able to do that in the most streamlined way. So one of the first things we did was we simplified school budgeting, and we decentralized the teachers and the principals, vice principals, and we're managing that at the senior management level, rather than having to involve the principals in the budgeting tool that we have and adding to their workload and to their clerical workload. So that's gone over quite well so far. We've also been digitizing student records. As I mentioned earlier, there's quite a few student records that we have on hand, and if having to pull them out and make copies and send them to people, if they're on paper, that takes a lot longer than it does if they're stored digitally. So that we've just begun that project. That project has just started. It's not going to be easy to do, but at the end of the day, I think it's worthwhile and it will pay off. Also, streamlining of processes. We now do a lot of our procurement, the bulk of our procurement, through electronic purchase orders. So we use our ERP system that we currently have to process work orders. And in that department, there's only 2 people. There's 1 manager and 1 support staff person. And they were able to process 3,800 electronic purchase orders. And that's because they're electronic. If they were paper-based, we wouldn't be able to do that. Another initiative in the accounting department is we've reduced payments to vendors by check to less than 10%. So what that means is we're doing electronic fund transfers. And again, that simplifies and streamlines processes as well, because the reconciling process, there's no errors, things don't go missing. So the fewer checks that we can be running, we're always going to have to do some, but the fewer we run, the better and the more streamlined and efficient we can be with our departmental staff, as well as out in the system. Also, one of the things that we think about all of the time is accountability. I mean, we as a department are accountable to you as well as to our auditors. So we always have accountability in the back of our mind. So how do we message that? How do we convey that to the system? So one of the things we do is we do an internal audit of our schools, and it's basically every other year we'll do an internal audit. It just means we ask for the records and we make sure that things are being recorded the way they should be and that the appropriate backup and things are there. But one of the other side things that it's really good for is building relationships. Sometimes when you're in the finance department at the school board office and you're talking to people out at sites and things like that, all you know is what the email or the telephone call portrayed. But if you actually go to do an internal audit, some of which is done on site, you actually get to meet the people. So that it's an opportunity there too. We've also been tightening controls over purchase card usage. Just making sure that we have documentation in place and things like that. And I'll speak to that a little bit more later on, but just to make you aware that we are tightening controls over purchase card use. The last thing that we're thinking about, living in an environment where there is a lot of change and people are moving to new places, and we're doing new things and implementing new processes, as well as the new ERP that's coming. There's going to be that as well. We're doing regular visits to sites as well in order to do face-to-face training. But sometimes that's not what people need or want, or maybe they can't do it during normal work hours. They want to do it at another time. We're preparing some training videos of what we do for best practices in the department, so that people can look at that and so that we're building the capacity of our entire system. So those are the 3 key projects that we've been thinking about. On the next slide is some of the successes that we've managed in the last year. One of them is the successful rollout of our updated budgeting software. So that's a software program, and we're constantly revising it, but that goes, that success I relate to our streamlining initiative. The simpler that we can make it, the more streamlined it is, and the more we're freed up to manage more other tasks other than just the basic things. So also one of the successes that we've just recently achieved and are very proud of is the year-end results for the fiscal year. The financial statements were presented to the board at the last meeting. It had been budgeted for and anticipated that there would be a small deficit, and in the end it was a small surplus. So that we're very proud of that. The actual annual audit as well, the auditing firm KPMG comes out and looks at our books, and they issue an audit opinion based on their work. And this year, again, as I'm sure in every other year before I came, they issued a clean audit opinion. So we're very happy about that, as well as the capital projects that Dale spoke to previously that are ongoing. Our finance department supports our colleagues by helping them with their reporting and things, and making sure that capital projects remain on budget. So we're proud about that. So on the next slide are some emerging areas of need. So this is my opportunity to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I'm thinking about going forward, and things that are on my mind right now, and how we're going to make sure that we support these emerging areas of need. The first one, as I know you're all aware, we've started our implementation process for our new enterprise resource program, and it's going to be a year of building the program, testing the program before we go live. So over the next year, we are going to be doing that in addition to all of our regular work. And one of the things that we heard when we met with other school districts was, just know that you can't just do it off the side of your desk. This is going to take a lot of work, and we don't even know what we're facing until we're in it. So we're very grateful to have Linda Peters still available to us if we need to help us out with some of that, so that we're not so that we're continuing to do the work of the department, but also ensuring that the enterprise resource program does get implemented correctly. Another thing is an emerging area of need, satisfying the changing and increasing external reporting requirements. So as I've been in school districts for 20 years, and it just the reporting requirements just keep getting greater and greater and greater. As an example, there was the Student Affordability Initiative last year. Government gave us a wonderful grant, very grateful for it, of course, but that gets added to the department in terms of managing all the transactions that go through that. It was roughly $1.5 million, but also having to report on that. And so, but we don't actually add any support to the department. So the more initiatives that happen and the more things that are going on, we do need to be aware that if there are increasing external reporting requirements, that we are making sure that we have the capacity in our department to be able to meet those. At the current time, we do. I'm not dissatisfied right at the moment, but just seeing all these initiatives that keep coming towards us, it's one of the things that I'm aware of. And emerging areas of need, we always need to maintain a reasonable accumulated surplus. And as the financial statements reported, we do have that, but that's something we need to keep our eyes on. So future plans, as I mentioned, the implementation of the new ERP system began in August 2023 and would be built and tested for a year before going live. So we want to make sure that we're maintaining our department the way we have been and the way we're very proud of. But the future, the big initiative that's on our plate, of course, is this ERP implementation.
So Monica, just for
Yes.
our public, just give a brief description of what is the ERP system, just a quick one.
Sure. An ERP is an enterprise resource program, and it's a software program that we use in the district for a number of functions. The HR department uses it, and all of our staffing is entered in there. Our payroll department uses it for all of their payroll. Our accounting department uses it for all of the financial accounting. All of our schools use it so that they can see their budgets and their allocation and their spending. It's a system-wide, and it's a very,
Wow.
very massive program.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
At the same time, we're going to still look for opportunities to streamline more processes where we can. That will always be in the back of our minds. But the other thing that I just wanted to remind trustees, I'm not sure, I don't think I've mentioned it to you before, but I'm very aware that the Office of the Auditor General is going to be conducting our audit. The audit that is currently being done by KPMG. The Office of the Auditor General is coming in not for this year, not for the end of this year, but for the end of next year. So in my mind, I'm looking at what we have in place, and I just want to get us ready and to be prepared so that when the Office of the Auditor General comes in, we are clean and everything looks really good, and that we can be very proud of it for when the Office of the Auditor General issues their report. So again, we have a year. We have a year to take care of that. So that's back to the tie into the strategic plan implementation. Optimized resources is the pillar that we support primarily. And with that, that's the end of my presentation, and I'll just open it up to any questions, Mr. Chair.
Hey, thank you very much. So we'll wait for the screen to change, and then we'll have some questions, I'm sure, because I can't see it right now. Stan Peterson, Trustee Peterson, go ahead first.
Thank you for that report. As always, very thorough. Two very significant changes or challenges: the new ERP and the Auditor General coming to look at the books. Do you feel as a department that you have the resources necessary to meet both of those challenges?
Thank you for that question. At this point, I can say I do feel that we have the resources right now. That said, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what I'm going to be facing when both of these things start. So it may be that I do get to a point where I feel like I don't, and of course I will speak up. But at this point, I'm comfortable that we're prepared.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much, Monica. Appreciate, and then also convey it to the staff. I mean, you got
Okay.
20 some people there. Just let them know. Thank you for their hard work and
I
appreciate
will.
their efforts. Okay.
Thank
you
you.
very much. That's 8.2. Let's move over to Information Technology Department Strategic Plan Report.
Once again, Chair Neufeld and trustees, I'm very happy to have Carmen O'Brien, our Director of Information Technology, with us this evening, and he is going to provide a report to the board highlighting achievements related to how Information Technology Department has worked on improving the ethical and innovative use of technology in the school district. Over to you, Carmen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's been a crazy busy year for us this year in IT. I've been with the district for about 9 years now, and it's easily been the busiest startup I've ever been through.
Wow.
The good news is that most of it is actually really, really positive. Tracy, if you want to forward the slides. So just a quick rundown of our department for those of you that aren't super familiar. We primarily deal with infrastructure management, cybersecurity, ed technology, data management, user support, and strategic planning. There's 15 of us in our department, and we serve the entire district. We work under the engaging opportunities pillar of our 4 pillars in our district plan. So some of the activities that we've been doing in the past year, we've implemented a product called Varonis. It's a data security and privacy platform. We're primarily using this. One of the, Monica was talking about the ERP refresh that we're doing. And when reaching out to other districts that have moved for their ERP systems, one of the big problems that came up that actually slowed down the process of the transition was not understanding where your data is, who owns it, where the data, how the data flows throughout the district and through the cloud. So it became really apparent to me that we had similar issues. And one of the things that we've implemented is Varonis, which is a product that scans basically every piece of data that we have in the district. And that allows us to do things like data tagging. We can assign different security and access levels to every piece of data that we have. It gives us an understanding of who owns the data, who has access, who doesn't have access, who should have access. It also has shown us things that we have literally millions of files that are stale dated that nobody's looked at for even decades. So we're going to start a process of cleaning up old data. It'll help us with the new ERP platform. It'll help us make sure that the people that need access get access, the people that don't need access don't get access, and everything in between. We're obviously on our continuous improvement of the district IT security posture. Most of you that know me know that I have a passion for cybersecurity. We have done an amazing job. Nathan Yunson is our cybersecurity and compliance person in the district. And he has a very busy job making sure that our district environment on the IT side is safe for both staff and students. We've, of course, launched M365 for Education as a learning platform district-wide. This was a massive change going from Google Apps for Education to M365. We did it in a really short amount of time, and so far it's actually been a great success. I was actually expecting a lot of, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot of complaints, but I was expecting that there was going to be some complaints at startup, and although we have had some, we've certainly had a significant more amount of people saying that they really love the product. So it's really positive, and our department is really happy because it was a massive amount of work to push this out over the summer, and it's really feels like it's a great success early in the school year. And of course, we've refreshed some of our big computer labs in the high schools as we do every few years. Some of the key projects we're working on. We wanted to configure and implement zero trust in our network infrastructure for years. Some of you may have heard me talking about this before at these meetings. We've finally done all the back-end configuring on all of our district switches, and unfortunately we kind of just ran out of time by the time summer started, and we can't test it in summer because we need people to actually be on the network to test it, and because nobody is really around in the summertime, we had to wait to test it until this year. So we do plan on turning this on probably in Q3. And just a really quick overview of what it is. It's just it zero trust model basically ensures that people who are on the network are supposed to be on the network, accessing the stuff that they're supposed to access. So we're really happy about this. It's really going to increase our internal security a lot and simplify the operations for us. So we're really looking forward to that. We made another big change this year. You're starting to maybe understand why it was so busy for our startup. We've implemented many projects over the summer. We switched from AirWatch. AirWatch was our basically our mobile device management software for our 6,000 iPads in the district. We moved it to Intune, which is a Microsoft product, which is actually a sunk cost for the district because it's part of the package that we get from the Ministry of Education for all of our Microsoft products. So switching from AirWatch to Intune has actually saved us $85,000 a year in licensing costs. And I'm really happy to say that after years and years of testing and hoping we could move to this product, it's finally matured enough that it not only does what AirWatch does, but it's actually easier to use. So it's a kind of a real win-win for us. We deployed over 4,400 WinBooks. That number has actually gone up because we've ordered about another 600 in the past month. We've deployed the WinBooks over the summertime, and we're getting just tons of positive reviews from both students and teachers and EAs of how they really like this product, which again is a big win because we moved from the Chromebook, the physical Chromebook platform to these Microsoft WinBooks. And Chromebooks, as you know, are very popular, but we've just gotten rave reviews from the majority of our staff and students. So it's another really big win for that project. As I said, we implemented Varonis data privacy platform, and then we've redeployed and enhanced the over 5,000 iPads that we have in the district. Some of the successes we've had this year, as I just spoke about, we adopted the new admin process of going from AirWatch to Intune. Transition from Chromebooks to WinBooks. That's been really well received. And another thing we were able to do this year is over the years we've always supplied a classroom kit of technology to every classroom, and part of that kit is 6 either iPads or Chromebooks, now WinBooks, per classroom, and we increased that this school year from 6 to 10. Which is something that we've heard from teachers. We've been hearing from teachers, for several years now that 6 is great, 10 would be really, really good. They used to kind of beg, borrow, and steal from other carts and stuff like that to try and amass a little collection. So we made that change this year, and so that's been really successful as well.
So 10 is good, and next year 15 will be better.
That's right, exactly. We hired an application specialist just recently. Trip Cower joined us about a month ago. She has a master's degree in technology, and she's an expert in all kinds of application support systems. And she's here to we have such a massive back end now, and especially that we're now finally focused on one product, that Microsoft 365 for the entire district. It's really important that we have somebody that's going to make sure that this system is working as well and as effectively as possible for the success of teachers and students in our district. And she's been very busy, and we know we're going to get great things to help us support our back end software infrastructure with her joining us. One of the areas of need that we hear about, for the past several years, and more so this year than any other years, is that we feel that we're getting a number of calls that one classroom no longer has a single teacher teaching it. It's now a split. It might be 2.4s or 0.6 and a 0.4 teaching the same classroom. So just historically, for those of you who are not aware, we give a laptop to every teacher who's a 0.8 or above, basically full-time. But with this increase in teachers going to part-time and sharing the teaching duties of one classroom, neither teacher gets a laptop, which of course is problematic. They're still teaching 30 kids. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to double the amount of devices that we put in certain classrooms, and it's been very challenging. We've talked about maybe just putting a desktop in a classroom. The problem is that sometimes the teachers are teaching in different classrooms. The teachers also obviously use their laptops to do work outside of the classroom. So having a desktop doesn't really solve that problem. So we're currently looking at the availability of getting more devices into teachers' hands to help solve this issue. Our 4-year district roadmap refresh cycle begins this year. We are looking at the current devices that we have been very reliable and very stable. So we're currently looking at perhaps extending that period to 5 years to basically extend the life of those devices and save some money for the district. So this is kind of right in transition right now. We're going to decide over probably the next month or two whether we're going to refresh in summer of 2024 or wait until summer of 2025 to do that. So this is goes back to our cybersecurity. This goes back to our cybersecurity platform. What you're seeing here is the Abbey schools average and the national average of critical, high, medium, and low cybersecurity incidents that we deal with in a 1-year period. So this is showing an average for this past year. We've been tracking this for 6 years now, and every year we are consistently below the national average on both critical and on all areas, critical, high, and medium, and low security incidents. The reason why it changes year over year, there's a number of reasons for it. Adding new software platforms increases our attack surface that we have to respond to. Just changing abilities of the bad actors to attack our surfaces changes every year. But that said, we have consistently kept under the national average, which for a school district is actually, I have to pat our group on the back a little bit and say we've done an amazing job, because we actually do better than actually we do better than a lot of large corporations. So big kudos to my team for their tireless efforts on the cybersecurity front.
Carmen, just one quick question. That graph on the left, if you can go back to that graph, are they individual items or are they 500 to 1,000? What are these numbers? Are they individual vulnerabilities?
Yeah, so every year we do a vulnerability assessment. So basically we hire a company to come in and tell us how many vulnerabilities we have in our entire system and how many are critical, how many are high, how many medium, and how many are low. And many companies do that across North America, and that's based on the national average. So yeah, this I had an actual chart with the number, but we couldn't get it to fit on the slide. Okay. But it was critical amounts. I think we had like something like 23 critical amounts versus. Well, actually, it does show the numbers for this year. Like we had, looks like about 27 versus 38 for national average. And then the number of high, medium, low, they go up. Like lows, we have hundreds and hundreds of low level issues. And that's very common. What we really want to see is the critical and high being as small as possible, because right. The medium and low are often stuff that we don't ignore it, but it's low hanging fruit to fix.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Questions? So for board members, any questions for our IT department? IT is not important until it doesn't work. It's like finance. Finance is boring until you don't get a paycheck, right? So, okay, we got Trustee Rauch first.
Hi, thank you. Carmen, great presentation. I'm amazed with all the work that's happening with so many teachers and so many schools and sites and hardware and software with 15 people. That's a lot to undertake. And I know there's been a big change in the last year or two, right, to a different platform. I'm just curious to know, I haven't really asked this question since last year, but I know we moved away from Check My Progress, and now officially everybody's onto the new system this year. I'm curious to know how that's going, that migration, and like from your point of view and from the teacher's point of view.
So what I can only say kind of a little bit anecdotally how it's going. Check My Progress was well received by teachers, but we needed to move on to a more robust platform. I know that they've just actually implemented the new report card system, which was what part of Check My Progress did. And I've been working with Chris on that, who's the head of the curriculum department, and thankfully haven't heard any big complaints. So I think it is going well, and we're going to continue to move towards standardized products that are either offered through MyEd or what other districts are using, common products. So. I'm glad that we did move on to the standardized product from MyEd, and I think it is going well. But of course, we just kind of support the back end of that. It's really about the end users being teachers and how they're accepting it. So I can't comment too much about it, but I think it is going well.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee White.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've dealt with a lot of different IT companies in my time, and when I had problems with my computer and problems with my phone here, I was just the best IT support I've ever received, having someone who has a laptop and a phone here from the district. So I'm a big fan of what you guys do, and I thank you for your great work.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it.
Yes, Ray, go ahead.
I just want to say that, to the board that you've heard these three presentations tonight from these three operations departments. And I just want to say that how fortunate the school district is to have such strong leadership in these areas, whether it's in facilities or finance or IT. The commitment of the individuals that work for this school district in those departments are second to none, and it just really positions the district from that operational lens to really be able to move forward on a lot of initiatives. And you see the things that are happening, and you see how you know, we have the ability to make these things move forward and get them done. And you know, from on a personal note, I just think that I'm so fortunate to work with those particular individuals that really make my job easy, having to deal with you know, all of them in terms of the management of their department. So it's just, I think the Abbotsford School District is in really good hands. And I just wanted to say, as I looked at all these presentations tonight, just how fortunate we are to have such strong leadership through all those departments.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention, Carmen, I know with 2,600 staff, everybody likes different toys and different programs and different things. So it's very difficult to make everybody happy and to align with one product. And I know that's a tough job, but thank you for that, because I think we want to get to a place where it's efficient and we're not taping things together, but we have a streamlined system and not a lot of access points. And so I appreciate you taking both the user and also the district in mind when you put products in place, because we need to keep the district information absolutely safe. And that means sometimes we limit the amount of different products that we offer our staff. And so thank you for that balance, that healthy balance, making sure that education still gets done, but the safety is still done at the same time, right? So thank you very much, Carmen. Appreciate that very much.
Right on.
This is our question period now, and I want to ask Ray, any questions online?
We have no questions.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. No, operations, point C, 8.4. Let's go to first quarter financial updates, and that's again, Secretary Treasurer Valistuck. You'll introduce some people, I'm sure.
No, I'll take care of this one. So
Oh,
this is
you
the
are?
first,
Okay.
yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, no, I'm never surprised. It's good.
So just the first quarter financial update, you know, we don't get too excited about the information in the Q1 report. We have not amended the budget yet. So some of the budget numbers that you see in the 23-24 budget column need to be amended to reflect the changes in the budgeted numbers due to enrollment changes. So, you know, we've got some increased enrollments. So we've added staff, teachers, for example. So you'll see in the amended budget that comes forward in the winter, shortly after Christmas, budget numbers that reflect the revised enrollment information. So this is just a snapshot of Q1. And you obviously will see in January Q2 report that will have, you know, start to clarify some of the information and along with the updated amended budget. So I'll take any questions you have, but we don't see, and in my meeting with the assistant ST who's responsible for all of these financial reports, we don't see anything that's really out of line in terms of this budget information.
So this is just an information item, but any questions or comments for our Secretary Treasurer? Means everybody got paid.
Everybody gets payrolls, everybody's favorite department.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's move to 8.5, enrollment report. Is that you as well, or is that our superintendent?
I can do that, Sean.
Sure.
So just a snapshot, you'll have seen the table, the second page in that staff report. You'll have seen that table in the budget documents that were prepared when we approved the budget information. So you see a snapshot and what the change from our projection in the budget. So we're up 222 FTE students from the budget numbers. That's just under 400 from last September. So it's an increase that is, I think, easy to manage in the district, considering that we are running at 98+% capacity of all of our buildings. So because, you know, some districts that are having huge increases, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 students, that would put us in a little bit more of a predicament having to find a lot more portables and a lot more space for students. So this is manageable growth, and I think it will result in about a $2.3 million increase in funding. There's corresponding costs, obviously, that go along with that, but we'll see about a $2.3 million increase in funding related to that 222 students. And then you see down below in the unique student needs category, increases in the number of ELL students, increases the number of Indigenous students, and then the special education level 1, 2, 3 students. I've also included a snapshot of each school's budgeted enrollment versus the September 30th snapshot data, and also giving you a picture of each school's enrollment by grade. So I will say also that this is not 100% finalized yet. The final 1701 information from the ministry won't be back until, for another week or maybe 2 weeks. But this so far is, I think this is pretty close.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for the enrollment report? So we were only off by 222.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. That's, like you said, it's manageable. Yeah, Trustee Rao, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Secretary Treasurer Velistic. Am I reading this correctly that for unique student needs, we're down, I guess, by 13, whereas we're up sort of overall, I guess, around that 362. So that's, I guess we could view that as a good thing, right? It puts a little less load on our support staff.
Yeah. So the highest funding ones, Trustee Rauch, are in level 1 and 2. So those are the higher funded categories. So it's having a level 3 drop. Level 3 is sometimes where we'll see, between September 30th and the end of January, we pick up some additional students during the course of the year. We may get some additional funding that is adjusted in our February funding count, and it adjusts for students with special needs.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, we've seen bigger increases kind of going through those categories in the last number of years, and so this year it's been pretty stable. So that's from a position where having to hire more resource teachers and more education assistants to help in some of those categories. Not having the growth is, I think, helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, any more questions on that? Okay, let's move to 8.6, Student Transportation Services Update.
So again, just an information item to the board. You get this report annually, and just a snapshot of the number of riders, students that are riding our school buses every day in the school district, and you see it's increasing. I wouldn't look at 2020-21 as data that is really comparable because of COVID. I think you'd have to go back to 2018-19 to find a year that was more reasonable to compare to. But 21-22 up to current is obviously the better comparisons. So you see that it's not huge changes in the number of student riders, but again, just the slight increasing amounts, and sometimes the increases, what you don't see here is where the increases might be and where some decreases might be. That affects routes within the city. So this is something that we continue to manage, and I've mentioned to the board before is that having a look at transportation, when you look at the table below that itemizes the revenues and expenditures related to transportation, means that we need to have a look at at some point the service levels that we provide in this area. And I know we do a lot of transportation for a district like Abbotsford, where we're part rural, part urban. So I think that there's some work to do in this transportation area. And I'll just mention that in the winter of 2020, right before COVID hit, we were in the middle of a transportation review that we just abandoned due to COVID, and we have not picked it up yet. And I think that As the board looks at its updated long-range facility plan and looks at the movement of students around the district and where the pressures are going to be around enrollments, that it may be at some point that we have to again look at having a discussion with the community about transportation service levels. So I'll take any questions that you might have.
Okay. Any questions from the board? I noticed that it costs 1.2 million. We're up $400,000 in expenses. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what would that entail? From
A couple of things. It would partly be wage costs. It would partly be bus fuel, cost of parts for buses, and those kind of things. So all the maintenance and repair costs, obviously due to inflationary factors, have increased. So that would be the biggest driver. So this includes, so the board is aware, no capital component at all in terms of transportation. So there's no depreciation cost allocated into this budget for buses and those kind of things. And so it's we're in a place where actually we need to find and need to get some ministry approval for some new school buses. And it's being in a district like ours where we're not fully rural, where there's lots of buses and need for transportation. The criteria to get buses, last year we weren't eligible to replace any school buses. So in some cases, we're looking to purchase a used bus that becomes a district cost, just so that we have a bus available for when we need a spare and all those kind of things. So it's not necessarily something we need for everyday use, but when a regular bus needs servicing and has to be off the road, we need a spare for that bus. So we're looking at that as one of the options.
Trustee Rowe.
Yeah, thanks for this report. Yeah, I was looking at that increase too, 400 grand. That's a fair bit. But I think we need to balance that too by just understanding the importance that the bus system generates for, right? Parents are not getting any less busy these days, and having a good, robust bus service, I think is really appreciated by our community.
Okay, Trustee Wilson.
Thank you. I always continue to voice my support for busing, because this is the way that some of our students get to school that otherwise may not. And I think that it is something that we have to be cautious about. I'm all for a review, and I think that would show up in the review, but it is something I feel very strongly about. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Any reports from representatives from external organizations or any trustee announcements? Now's the time. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Stan Peterson.
Yeah, something I probably could have brought forward when our facilities folks were here, but the 55 plus games are over. The accounting has, we've counted up the shekels and all of that is worked out. But we use 3 school facilities, and the reports from the folks that use these facilities, the participants, were what great facilities you have. We use Yale, Bateman, and Fraser schools, and the anecdotal reports were that we're fortunate to have schools in such good condition. So just wanted to pass that on.
Well, kudos to staff, because I didn't do any work there. Question period. Any questions come up on the internet, online?
Yeah, Chair Neufeld, we have one question, but it's not related to an item on the agenda.
Okay. So let's call adjournment, but I was going to ask if the board and Sean and Ray could stick around afterwards. Is it going to still be recording? Will recording stop once we're offline? That's a question. Anyways, we'll just adjourn first and we'll have that comment. Sorry?
Once the meeting is adjourned, then I will stop recording.
Okay. So the meeting's adjourned.